Hello and welcome to Mindset Kitchen. My name is Diana Paliokaite and I'm the host of the show. In my kitchen today, I have Anna Lancaster. Anna is industry-renowned authority in reprogramming the mind and well-being. She's also a clinical hypnotherapist and certified transformational therapy practitioner, otherwise known as RTT. Anna, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Hello and welcome to Mindset Kitchen.
Thank you so much. This is my perfect Friday. Talking about the mind, wine and food.
Well, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being here. I've introduced you very briefly there. Would you mind to tell us a little bit more who you are and what you do?
Who I am? Well, you nailed it very well. I am a clinical hypnotherapist by trade, and I like to call it a subconscious specialist because that's kind of the whole area. I mean, there's the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind being the more powerful. 95% of our behaviours dictated by it. So that's the one that I work in. And I have a clinic in Chelsea and London, but a lot of clients internationally around the world, which is interesting. Through Zoom nowadays, we can do that. And I work with a lot of high achievers, a lot of people who are just trying to be the top of their game, whether it be an actor, an actress, a CEO, C-suite executive, or just someone who's like, I want my life to be a bit better. It's not just the people who are like, I'm having massive anxiety or depression or those things, although they do come to me in equal measure. But it's people who just want to heal in some way to be what I call the best version of themselves.
And if you don't mind me asking, how did you start this career?
Oh God, it's a bit of a long story. So I wasn't in this industry years ago. I used to actually work in marketing for theatre, film, fashion and music, ironically, and had my own agency and also worked in property as well. But 15 years ago, I had a spinal leak. I got really, really sick, and I was literally flat on my back. And it was 3 operations later, and I was still in the same position. I couldn't sit up for more than 20 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like 30 years old, and I thought, is this it? I went to a pretty dark place. And my mum bought me, I laugh at it now because she bought me a book, and at the time I was like, what the hell is this going to do for me? How's this going to change my life? I think I threw it across the room in a bit of rage and frustration. And when I finally crawled across to get it, I had a look, and it was The Secret, which is very entry level, but it kind of explained to me a lot about the mind, the placebo effect, the power of the mind. And from there, I just started reading everything I could. And I put a lot of that into action, the visualization, the different techniques. And I had a 4th operation, and I was fixed. And I know I had a 4th operation, but I just knew there was something in it. And from there, I just became obsessed. I started looking into it. I loved my career at the time, but that was my passion. And then it came to a point, and I was like, right, I'm gonna take the leap. And I did it. And I qualified as a clinical hypnotherapist. And I said to my friends who thought I was a bit crazy, I was like, if I'm good, tell everyone. If I'm not, tell no one, and I'll go back into marketing. We'll never speak of this again. But thankfully, I was good, and they referred me on and on and on. And now I predominantly work on referrals. I have been fortunate enough to lecture at Oxford University, nurturing the minds of young people. There's a lot of education there about everything apart from how to look after themselves. So I did a lot on sleep, I did a lot on mindset and how it can upgrade their lives, and I love that. I do a lot of podcasting, I do a lot of talking about the mind and how it affects you. In fact, I could talk about it forever. I partner with a lot of people, I work with a lot of corporates. Last year I did Airbnb's annual conference in Barcelona, which was pretty fun. So yeah, anything to do with the mind, that's pretty much my life now.
You could not be more perfect guest, because the reason I launched the show was because of the mind, because of the power of the mind and what it could do. And as you were sharing your story, I could relate. It's so many different snippets within it I could relate as well. As I was saying to you prior to we start filming about passing of my husband, but what I discovered with the power of the mind and how I've gone through the healing journey, it's changed everything. And I basically changed my career as well.
Yeah.
Right?
You did the same as me.
Exactly that. And so far, I'm only using it all to myself, but what it has done, it has enriched my life.
Yeah.
And I found myself bursting, and I want to talk to more people about this, and wanted to meet people like yourself. So it's a huge honor for me to have you here. And what am I cooking for beautiful Anna today? So Anna has written, when I send a form and my guest gives me a little blurb what they would like me to cook. And majority of the times people are quite free, throwing various things like chicken and meat and so on. And when I read your description, I absolutely loved it, because it's exactly the things I love. And I'm serving a beautiful Sancerre white wine here, and I am going to serve a little starter for Anna, which is figs with goat cheese, honey, thyme, and pistachios, which I tested, and it was absolutely delicious. And Anna is a real foodie, as we established here on the way to my house. And the second course would be scallops. That's the white wine.
Yeah.
Scallops made with cauliflower puree, and then with another sauce on the side, which is butter, capers, lemon, with a bit of asparagus. It's going to be light, fresh. It's almost like angelic kind of meal, and I'm very excited to cook this for you. So without further ado, I'm going to start making your starter, and I'm going to read your first message, which I absolutely love as well. So the first message is, your beliefs make your world. Tell me more about it.
Yes, well, I think this is such an important one that people don't realise. Our reality literally is created from our belief system. So just giving a bit of science and a bit of how we are the way we are, we have two parts of the mind, as I mentioned earlier. We have our subconscious mind and our conscious mind. And our subconscious mind is our feelings, our habits, our behaviours. Our conscious mind is our thinking mind, our logical mind. But it's the subconscious mind that's running the show. That drives 95% of our behaviour every day. Just a good quick example is when you're driving a car, and you're driving along and you're thinking about dinner, about a date, about work, about stuff, and then you arrive at your destination. And when you arrive at the destination, well, what's driven you there? It's not your conscious mind. It's your subconscious mind. And that's like an analogy for how our life goes through. Now, how is our subconscious mind formed? Well, this comes in within the beliefs and the behaviours. When we're literally between the ages of 0 and 7, we're at a lower brainwave state, we're at theta. And there's, just to put it in perspective, the science here, we have beta, which is our conscious mind, which goes into alpha, meditation, theta, hypnosis, and then delta, which is sleep. And at theta, when literally we're 0 to 7, we are subconscious then. And we, at that point, when we're subconscious, sorry for that slight interruption.
No, that's okay.
When we're subconscious, at that point, we are just like little sponges. We are absorbing everything in our environment. We're absorbing our beliefs around money, around who we are, around our self-worth, around health, around everything. We're coming from a very primitive place, and we are assigning meaning to it. So, for example, parents say you're the pretty one, you're the sporty one, your brother's the clever one. And then you don't filter it. There's no filter. You just take it in. And then your brain looks for proof of that existing. So then you start to create your belief system and take it through your life. And the thing is, a lot of your beliefs aren't really true. So, for example, my son, when he's with me and he's like, the example there, the mobile phone, which never stops going off. I'm on my mobile phone. And he's like, mummy, mummy, mummy. Now, to him, I'm the most important thing in the world. And then he would expect the same of me. But if I'm on my mobile phone, as we all are at points, doing my email, doing my, banking, doing whatever, he doesn't understand what that is. All he knows is that bit of plastic in my hand is more important than him in that moment. So he can then create the belief or assign the belief, I don't matter as much as that. And then his brain goes and looks for more proof. Or it's like, the child that's, in the school play, waiting and looking out in the audience for the parent to turn up, and they're stuck in traffic. But the child's like, well, they haven't turned up because I don't matter. Oh. And it's not that they don't matter. That's not the truth of the scenario, but it's the meaning they assign in that moment. So a lot of our beliefs come from things which aren't even true.
So powerful.
Yeah, but then what happens is we go out into our lives as we are now, and we become conscious, and we know what we want to do. We want to be successful. We want to do this. And it's not happening for us. We're self-sabotaging. We're doing that. It's because at the root, our belief system, it doesn't align with what our conscious desires are, because our beliefs influence our thoughts. Our thoughts create our emotions. Our emotions then affect our behaviour, And then our behavior creates our pattern, our outcome, our life. And that's the thing. What our life is a lens of our belief system. So yeah, that's kind of where that's so important. So if we can change our beliefs at the root, we can literally change our life. I'm going to go for the wine now.
And
after that big and
well done there. It's so powerful, I think. And the more we talk about that particular thought and belief, I think the more people can be feeling like they are in charge and in control of their life. And when I realized that, I actually didn't know that until actually my husband passing, because I started exploring and I started to see how me thinking one way, things happen, and me thinking another way, different things happen, and me thinking the other way, which is more positive, creating new ways of perhaps removing fears or creating those new beliefs, what's going to happen to my life, actually opened me doors and made me happier.
Totally.
It's almost like it was so obvious that I was controlling it rather than the other way around, what happens to us most of the time. Do you think actually our thoughts are controlling us?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we're not able to kind of catch them and navigate.
Well, our thoughts are influenced by our beliefs. So if we have a belief, and a lot of us don't know what our beliefs are even, because they're so deeply embedded in our, in our wiring of who we are. And it's past like that age, we don't really remember an awful lot of stuff, but we have all these beliefs in us that are self-sabotaging. Like, for example, if you grew up in a family that was not too wealthy, or, you grew up and they were spending, the money to the end of the month, you never got new shoes, you're always in that situation. And then you go into a scenario where you become a lawyer or whatever, you go into a career, you're doing really well, but there's something that will self-sabotage because there's that inner belief that maybe I don't deserve it, or maybe money is hard to come by, and you end up doing things that self-sabotage your success. And that story happens a lot with so many of my clients. But it's also that level of, if you, even on a very basic level, if you're going into a scenario and you're a bit anxious about it, and you believe, you're sat there even consciously thinking, no one's going to like me. No one's going to like me. So that's your thought. Then how do you feel? You feel really anxious. And then you go out into the scenario and you're probably a bit quiet. And then no one comes up to you because you're quiet and they think you're a bit standoffish. And then you're like, yeah, it's because no one likes me. But that started from a thought. If you went in there and were like, everyone's going to love me, I'm going to be the life and soul of the party, you walk in there and you are, and everyone wants to be with you. And then that fulfills that. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I can totally relate, actually. I always used to think I'm not good enough to be in a certain career, because we didn't have much money as well. We were quite, I guess, as you described, getting a salary and paying for the bills, and that's it. Yeah. So when I reached the stage where I'm here in London and I would love to be a lawyer or a banker, I always used to think I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough. And that really did, I think, slow down my progression. It made me work extra hard.
Exactly.
Rather than things going more smooth.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you like people who genuinely, I always say a lot of everything is rooted in our self-esteem, how we really feel about ourselves. And our self-esteem isn't to be confused with confidence, which a lot of people think it is. You can be very confident or outwardly very confident person, but you don't really feel that good about yourself because you're like, I have to be the life and soul for people to like me. Well, that could be the belief. And so you might appear very confident, but deep down, you just want people's approval. So you people please, you put yourself out there. Because when you were growing up, you knew you might have been in a bit of a volatile family and there was a lot of arguments, and you were like, if I'm just perfect, if I get the grades, if I, make everyone happy, then it's all going to be okay. Because when we're younger, we really come from a place where we need to survive in that family unit. And we will do anything emotionally and physically to survive in that. And if it's making everyone happy, we grow in the belief that our value is linked to people pleasing. And I see that so much with all my clients.
So common. And invite that. It's brilliant. The figs are here waiting.
Oh, these look delicious, Diane.
Figs with goat cheese, pistachios, with thyme from my garden. It's got little flowers as well. They are edible, and a drizzle of honey. So
these are beautiful.
Whenever you get a moment,
now I'm going to go for one of these.
Nibble on them.
Please speak to me.
And then, so whilst you're having that, I am going to lightly pan fry next asparagus. I usually tend to not interrupt the guests and just get on with the cooking and not explaining much. But the next will be asparagus and cauliflower, which I'm going to make sure cauliflower is not actually soft. It's supposed to be a little bit crunchy. Actually, this recipe, how I do things, Anna, it's I tend to make everything harder for myself. And I don't know why. It just always turns out this way. But the cauliflower puree is actually Raymond Blanc recipe. It's one of my favorite chefs.
Ooh.
So I've taken his recipe, and then I've taken another recipe from BBC chefs.
Yeah.
And I combined it.
Okay.
So yes,
the best of both.
Exactly. And to be honest, the combined version, I have not tried it yet. So today, but I have absolute confidence these two flavors will work. I almost taste in my mind's eye. But I did try cauliflower puree and scallops the day before. I cooked and just tasted the balance of it, and which was absolutely delicious. So probably going to cook in a few minutes. But I'm going to read. What do you think?
Oh, these are delicious.
Delicious?
This is right
Have
up
you
my
ever tried
street.
it?
No,
Something like
I've
that?
never tried. I've had fig before, not with goat's cheese, but I love it with the honey. It's the sweetness and the kind of quite sharp taste of the goat's cheese. I love it.
It's delicious. Please enjoy.
I am.
So I really enjoyed, and I know this is right to the topic, and I know this is the kind of conversation you will be addressing with clients when you talk to them, the beliefs, because I had various beliefs that did not serve me, but it has taken me through a horrific challenge. I became a life coach as well. So it has taken me to do all these things to actually find my beliefs, find the limiting beliefs or beliefs that do not serve me. And so many times we think, oh, no, all these beliefs are fine and so on. So that's why I think the job that you do and the job of people who do coaching is extremely important, because we actually find something that people are not able to find themselves. And I know I was never able to find myself this unless I actually gone through the whole coaching program, and I was coached many hours by other people, and it was extremely eye-opening. So right up my street. Anyway, so the second message Anna has brought today is what you focus on expands. Please tell me more.
I mean, it's very true. What you focus on, your mind moves towards naturally. If you're looking for the good in things, if your belief system, thank you. Okay. If your belief system is, for example, imagine, I'm going to use this one as a thing. If you imagine you're getting on the tube in the morning, in London Underground, and you're someone who believes they grew up in a good family and they believe everyone's intrinsically good, they're quite positive, and that's their belief. Everyone's good. And there's another one who gets on the same tube and their belief is everyone's intrinsically bad, greedy, wrong. That's their 2 points of view. The one who believes everyone's positive gets on the train or the tube in the morning and sees the man getting up for the older woman. He sees the little child playing with the little dog, and he sees a couple in a warm embrace. Now, the one who thinks everyone's bad, they're really negative focused, they'll go onto that same tube and they'll see the woman who made the man get up for her. They'll see the dog that's annoying everyone with a child, and they'll see the couple who are being massive PDA, and they'll focus on that, and all they will see is the negative. And the other way around, all the other person will see is the positive, because your mind is programmed literally to move you towards what you focus on. And so if you're focusing on all the negative stuff, you will find more of it everywhere. However, if you're focusing on the positive, you will find more of that. Every 17 seconds, when you have a thought, another thought joins it. If you're having a positive one, a similar thought will join it. Likewise, if you're having a negative one, a similar thought will join it. And from that point, that's when we go into thought spirals, when first, I didn't do anything, my boss, I didn't finish my task. And then you go into the thought, but now I'm going to lose my job. And if I lose my job, I'm going to lose my house. And if I lose my house, I'm going to lose my thing. And then I'm going to be dead. And you go into those thought spirals because they join it. The power is stopping it, noticing, being super conscious and noticing that thought and switching it. And then you can move towards a totally different direction. And it's not, super positive thinking, because your mind listens to everything you say. Your subconscious mind just literally listens. So whether you're telling yourself lots of good stuff or lots of bad stuff, it doesn't care. It just takes it all into your subconscious. So if you say, I don't know, I'm overwhelmed, and you feel overwhelmed, your subconscious mind will look for other things to make you overwhelmed. And you're like, okay, I'm really overwhelmed because that's all I can see. But if you say, switch it around, I've dealt with lots of big stuff in the past and I can do this, then it will look for ways for you to do it. Your subconscious mind, when you actually know how to hack it, is incredibly good. It's an incredibly useful thing.
I completely agree, Anna. Actually, I remember the moment, I think I may have told this particular moment on Mindset Kitchen before, but it just brings me to that, and that admiration for our mind is when I came back one day from a run in the park and my husband was no longer with us, and I was really hurting. And I was hurting so badly that pain itself, I had to find a way to numb it. I had to find a way that I don't feel this pain. And it's not like, I'm going to go and drink lots of wine or smoke or something. I needed to find something in my brain. And so when I start meditating, I obviously I'd learned to meditate prior to this moment, but I wanted to focus on feeling happy. And I was meditating, I'm happy. I am so happy. And I spent 30 minutes visualizing happiness, feeling happiness with my closed eyes. My tears are still running down my face, but I was visualizing this happiness. And I stopped meditating and I could not tell you how happy I was. And then I actually felt a little bit guilty. I should not be happy. Why I'm so happy? And I was just jumping around. I was alone in my house. I was jumping. I am so happy. It's that 30 minutes of complete focus on happiness. Wow. And that moment was like, wow. If I can feel from absolute pain to this, how do I maintain this? How do I keep going? And I just stuck to that various things that I've done. I've never done RTT or anything like that, but it's all me as well because it was COVID. So I had nobody. So it was just me in the house with my little son. But when I discovered that my mind is actually influenced by my thought, and actually I can feel however I want to feel, whatever the situation, I was hooked. I was literally hooked.
You got it. You did it the healthy way. You knew you didn't want to go down that path of drinking or whatever. But
I did have a few bottles of wine.
I mean, but that wasn't for a lot of people who have addictions. And when I say addiction, it can be to alcohol, drugs. It can be to shopping. It can be to exercising. It can be.
I think I'm that.
I mean, we all love to shop.
I haven't addressed that one yet. I don't know if I want to address it. Sorry.
No, but it's like, whatever that is not a problem. That is the solution, if you know what I mean. It's the solution to the pain that you're feeling, the issue that you've got, that rooted pain that you had, because the problem was you were feeling pain because your husband had passed. And you that's very commendably looked inside, and that's where everything is. It really is inside us. Because when you visualize or go into a meditation, people also, visualizing is very simple. Whenever people are like, I don't know how to visualize, I'm like, essentially it's daydreaming, really, in the easiest sense of the word. But if you can get a really strong visualization, your mind doesn't know the difference between it actually happening and it not happening, and it being just in your mind. It does not know the difference between the two. So what happens is they've done fMRI scans on it, and it fires and wires the same parts of the brain as if it's actually happening in the motor parts. And
it's incredible.
And so from that, you can create that same feeling in your body, get those same chemicals coming that will create that happiness in you from inside. Rather than waiting for something external to make you happy, you can become happy on the inside, and then as a result of that, good things happen on the external because you're in that place. So many people want something to make them happy, and we all do. We go through that kind of stage of looking for something. I'll be happy when I get the job. I'll be happy when I do this. I'll be happy when I do that. The difference is when you get it and you're not happy, you're like, there's something wrong with me. Why am I not happy? What more is it? I think it's, and a lot of people have the kind of midlife crisis, and they're like, I'm in this place, I've got everything I want and I'm still not happy. But it's because real happiness comes from within. And and that sounds twee when I'm saying it, but it's true, isn't it? When you can create that inside, you don't need the car, because if you know what I mean, it's nice to have it. And I'm not saying that, but you don't need that stuff because you have it, and you will ultimately get more from the external world because you've internally got that. I follow a lot of Joe Dispenza's work as well. I love his stuff, and he very eloquently speaks of it a lot more than I do. But yeah,
I absolutely love Joe Dispenza as well. So read all the books, and actually tried to do some of his meditations. I find that some of them quite difficult.
I do too.
I do different. I meditate differently.
Yeah,
and I just never got to that stage where he got.
It is kind of,
I would love to go one of his.
I know. I want to do one of his retreats. It's on my
did?
list. I put it on my vision board.
You
no,
want to go.
I want to go.
That's
it's on my
what
vision
you
board.
focus on expands.
Exactly, and it's like that whole thing, the buzzword at the moment, manifestation.
Yeah.
You know, it is science essentially. You know, it's not just a word, but it's not the case that you kind of put that car on your vision board and it's going to turn up outside your house. It's more that you have a system in your brain called the RAS system, reticular activating system.
Yeah.
What that does is when you value tag something as important, it will look in your subconscious mind for every way to make that happen. And like vision boarding is a good way of doing it, because if you're consistently seeing something, it's activating your subconscious mind to know that that's important to you. I do it every year, and I've taught my good friend, I'll name check Lally, who is a master manifester now. She like literally everything. But I've done it, and pretty much everything that I've put on the board, to the extent that my boyfriend was a bit worried. I put a few things in a wedding ring.
Wedding ring there.
It's like not quite yet, but no, it's a really powerful way also of aligning your goals. I have a lot of clients who come to me and they're like, I'm not happy. I just feel stuck, and I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know. And I say, well, if you don't know what you want, what are you aiming towards? You're just going to be floating, waiting for something. This is why, if you have goals, write them down. Harvard had like they studied this, and anyone who'd written their goals down physically achieved them. Like literally, they achieved them. And it's because you've signaled to your subconscious mind that's what you want. Otherwise, it's like you're firing a gun or, an arrow, and it's not knowing where it's going. How are you going to get there?
So if I've written down a goal, let's say from September, I'm going to go back to full-time job.
Yeah.
And I've written down the job, the kind of job I would like, perhaps.
Good.
I've written down it's hybrid working because I'm a mom. I want to have the flexibility.
Yeah.
How do you think then I go about, and do I look into this written goal every day, or like what is the?
There are different ways everyone does it. I'm quite a visual person. People are different. If you write it down, it's not that you have to see it every day. Matthew McConaughey wrote his goals down. He didn't see it, I think it was for 25 years or something, and then they'd all come true. It's putting that intention down, and it's signalled, and then you'll start to notice it. Vision boards are great because you keep seeing it, so it's repetitive, but you don't really have to. But what will happen is, it's not that suddenly that job's going to land, but you will hear someone talking about an opportunity, or you'll start talking to someone a bit more because you know what your goal is. So you start to tell people, and they're like, they tell someone else, and that person then might be like, you're great for that, so let's get you in for an interview. And if it's not right for them, or not right for that person, but you'll start to notice these opportunities that you didn't notice before because you know exactly what you want. Whereas if you just put down, I want a job, what's it going to be? It doesn't really know what when you have to be very specific, and also add in emotion, because when you add in emotion, your subconscious is emotionally charged, and that's what it kind of looks for. It looks for it locks onto it if it's an emotional. It's why affirmations, and who's tried affirmations, loads of people, and who's it worked for? Not many. It's because when you're saying certain things, so if, for example, you say a lot of negative stuff, when we say I'm overwhelmed, I'm terrible at this, this is awful, you really feel the negative, you feel that. Whereas when you sit and stand in front of a mirror and say, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent, I'm kind, you might not believe it. And so because you don't feel it, your subconscious won't lock onto it. So then, of course, it's not going to manifest in your life in that way. And with manifestation, we're always manifesting. Like, when it's not that you specifically have to do it, you're always manifesting, whether it's good or whether it's bad, it's whatever you are, whatever you're putting out there, you're literally getting back.
I completely agree with the feeling, because I think that's what changed everything. Is actually when I start feeling exactly what I want. Many times what I do is, let's say I'm going for a run. It is one of my favorite times to manifest, or whatever people want to say. And I'm not one of those people who say we manifest and it comes true. I'm all about you think, visualize, dream it, feel it, and put a lot of hard work and action towards it. Yeah. But it's helpful for your mind, for your what's the word you use, that particular part of the brain?
The subconscious?
No, there's another part where anyway, it's a long word. It's helpful for the brain to know exactly how it feels like, and then naturally your body is drawn to do those actions. It's almost seamless, I would say.
Absolutely. Oh, I was going to say.
So when I go for a run, I visualize something that I really want, and I start feeling it.
Yeah.
So I'm like a deer in the forest, hopping in such a joy and happiness because I'm feeling it, and I'm almost actually in that position. Yeah. So let's say if it's a job, or let's say I wanted to have Anna on my shoulder, I'm visualizing Anna is already here and how happy I'm feeling, how 100%. Great it's going, and I'm feeling it. So when my runs are just almost like I'm running on the air. It's incredible, you know?
That's like your meditation time as well, because when you're doing it, you're really accessing your subconscious, because you're in your mind, you're visualizing it. And also when you're visualizing things like that and you're feeling you already have it, and you're feeling that in your body, it becomes familiar. Because the thing is, with a lot of, things that we do that are new and out, unfamiliar, and that, the mind is working on its experiences. So if it's something new, it's a lot harder to get there. Whereas if you visualize like you do and you feel it and your body knows it, it becomes so much easier to do it because it's already done it. You go there in the mind, you go there in the body.
Wow, I absolutely love it. And you said at the beginning, you became hooked, and you start doing all the courses and where you are right now as a result of it. What was the most fascinating or almost like mind-blowing thing that absolutely shocked you or surprised you when you start doing this?
In regard to clients, I think it was just the rapid change when you can heal someone. I had people also who would come to me who'd had depression for a really long period of time, and they'd been doing a lot of talking therapy. And I'm not going to say anything negative about talking therapy. For me, it didn't work, because I did feel very much like when I went through that as a process, I would walk in the room, I'd bring up all of those emotions and feelings I didn't want to really feel, and they were quite painful. The hour would be up, my therapist would look at the clock, and then I would walk out really high at that level, which also I'm doing then is I'm reinforcing those same neural pathways of pain. So I'm making it even worse. And so I felt like I was doing that week in and week out, and I felt like I was going in like forever. And so when I discovered hypnosis, and certainly when I work with my clients, I've had some who've done a lot of talking therapy, and it's worked to an extent where they've got to the stage where they understand why they might feel the way they do. But then they're like, but how do I change that? The good thing about when they come to me after that, they're well knowledged in what's up. But when I take them into a session, we take them into hypnosis, regress them back to the root cause of where that belief came from that's causing this pain. And then we interrupt it, we pattern interrupt, and then install this new way of thinking. You get them to look at it from a real point of view, looking at the truth rather than what it actually is. Because often as children, we're like, it's my fault. It's my fault that this happened. It's my fault. We're a child. If you look at any child, would you ever say that child isn't good enough, or is their fault? Okay, maybe they knocked a glass over and upset mummy or daddy, but they're a child. They did that, and that's an accident, and we move on. But to them, it will be the thing that sits with them, and they're like, I'm so stupid, I'm so idiotic because I did that, right? And it's so hard, especially being a mum.
Yeah,
especially being a mum, I'm very aware of the things. I'm like, oh gosh, Oscar's going to be coming back to me in years' time and being like, mummy. But we do the best. I think it's just that element of the fact that they'll assign the meaning they attach to it. I think I say to all my friends who are like, Jesus, what am I going to do? I just say, in every situation you can, explain the situation to them so that they know it's not their fault. They know it's not them. It's just that situation. And it helps a lot.
It's so useful. And to be honest, I catch myself many times in those situations where I am doing that, or I am actually explaining it's okay. The majority of the times, actually, I'm so happy that I'm able to say, if you knocked the glass over or broke something, it's okay. It's okay.
You're good. You're better than I am.
Yeah, no, I'm actually trying not to at all. Yeah. I used to get frustrated about these things, but I don't do anymore. But there are some times where it's, for example, last night, a quick one. I have in guest rooms, I have a wardrobe where I keep all the duvets and towels, and there's a key in it. But he's hidden the key.
Oh, no.
I didn't know that because it probably was 5 days ago or whatever when I decided to change my bedding. I went in and there's no key, but it's around 10 o'clock now at night, and I want my sheet. I need my sheet on the bed, and he's asleep. So I woke him up. And I said, where did you put the key? From the wardrobe. I felt guilty. I felt so mortified. Why did I do that? He did not remember, obviously.
He didn't even remember what it was.
I know, he's like, Mom, he's like all asleep. And I was like, you put the key, didn't you? You know? And I just went back and I thought, why did I do this?
We're human. The thing is, we're human. It's our first time of this as well, you know? Like, parents, we do what we've learnt. We either often you find we do what our parents did, or as I do absolutely the opposite, which happens with a lot of people. But like, we do what we're human. We do what we do in the moment. I always say, if we do that, and I bet you did, apologise to him, because when we're
because it was night time this morning, he probably completely forgot. I'm going to apologise him later on. Actually. Good point.
Because when adults don't apologise, the child starts to question whether they were right or wrong. Often, you know, and they question themselves. Because someone said this, and it's always stuck with me, and it breaks my heart. When a child does something wrong, or a parent does something wrong to a child, they don't stop loving the parent, they stop loving themselves. And it's, for me, I've seen it with so many clients. Like, the hardest thing when I first started doing what I did was I'd get so involved in my client's story. I'd take them into regression. I'd be like, oh my God, but this happened and this happened. I'd be kind of like, come on, tell them what you think. And I'd be exhausted. I've now managed to step back from that, and I'm a lot better, but it's very hard not to see that child in pain. You know, we were all children once, and when people look back at kind of the situation, they realise it's not their fault. It's so healing. And then I upgrade them into, you know, the life now, and they're like, oh my God. And it's so healing to see that didn't mean that it was always going to be like that, you know, because they weren't feeling loved, or they didn't feel like they mattered, or they didn't feel safe. Doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. And when they start to look back, it's so healing. But yeah. completely
agree. And I'm going to apologise to my son for waking him up.
Don't get mum guilt. The last thing I want to do to anyone
I did lots of it yesterday. But anyway, and then I found the key, by the way, under the pillow in the guest bedroom.
Oh, at least you could have said it somewhere good, you know?
Yeah, and because I had to basically say, where would he hide it?
You know, it's never going to be anywhere too difficult.
And I walked to the pillow, lifted, and I was like, right there. And then that was after I woke him up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're all human. You know.
We are indeed, and as long as we can learn,
yeah,
continuously learn and grow from our experiences,
exactly.
That's the best.
Exactly.
So what I've been doing here, Anna.
I know, I've been watching you.
I know you don't cook often yourself. You like to eat out as well, so you don't necessarily see what the chefs do. So I usually tend to ask my guests, do they like cooking or not? Because then if I do something wrong, you don't even notice.
No, I wouldn't have a clue. You know? I would just be like,
this is the perfect way to do it. This is the way to do it. So what I'm doing is slightly cooking scallops, because what it is with scallops, you don't want to cook them on a too high heat so they burn. So I keep on moving them so they don't get stuck to it, because I want them to have a nice color. And they cook very quickly, 3 minutes on one side, 3 on another. And in the meantime, I'm going to warm up my puree, which I've done today. So what the puree is, it's basically butter. So it's not, it's a little bit of a few different calories going on there. But what it is
no calories today. It's Friday.
Raymond Blanc, French. You expect a bit of butter.
You do.
So there is buttermilk cauliflower, and what I've done then is made brown butter. So I'm not sure if you tried in the restaurant brown butter is, but it's called beurre noisette. Yeah. So you cook the butter until it becomes brown and caramelized, and then I add it into that puree, and it literally tastes almost like a caramel cauliflower puree.
I mean, that sounds divine.
You will experience that. So the butter, the caramelized butter really works well with the cauliflower puree. I was really impressed by it. It's probably going to be one of my recipes that I will be doing for my guests, so they come over here. I have lots of friends come over and have dinners here, so I do like to learn some few tricks to cook them delicious food. So while this is cooking, I almost have everything ready. I'm going to read your third message. I can't believe the time is escaping us. by the way, what you focus on expands. We covered so many subjects, and that just shows how vast it is, but at the same time, how simple it is to actually focus on a few different things at a time.
100%.
Would you advise people that say, if there's one thing that I am constantly focusing, start with one is where the good start is, right?
Yeah, it's always identifying what behaviours in your life you don't like or what's going wrong. That's normally the thing that we notice, like more than anything, what's going wrong. When we notice that, it's like, why is that going wrong? And looking at why that is. And then from there you can go back to, okay, what is it I believe about myself that can lead to that, if you know what I mean? Like, where does that come from? I mean, I will say it's a lot easier in hypnosis because we can very quickly go back to it. But you can check, like, of course you can change yourself. Consciously is a bit more difficult because when you identify the issue that you've got, which is normally pretty easy, you have to do a lot of work and repetition and constant change to make that happen, to reinforce these new behaviours, these new neural pathways, these new ways of thinking. Because if you imagine we have this neural pathway that, I don't know, I guess with anxiety, that this happens and then this is the result, you know, the trigger ends there. It's very difficult to shift that on your own. It's possible, of course it is, but it takes a lot of intentioned action. So I think first point is identifying and then looking back from there.
It's very good advice. I think, and then if you, let's say, identify one thing, I identified I have a pain, and this pain actually drove me through different levels of journey, I would say.
Yeah.
But that was a good start, as I say. So the pain from grief, what am I going to do about it? And or let's say if something, people get really upset about the boss all the time. Well, what is it that my boss is upsetting me? And it's usually everything is within you, because you can actually ignore even the most angriest boss.
I know, but you know what? It's because the boss triggers inside you often a parent. Like I had a client who come to me who was she consistently was being made redundant, and it was like a pattern. And we did a session and it very much went down to this whole superiority issue she had with her father and where that kind of came from her. And I think her belief was that she doesn't deserve success. I think that's what it went down to. And we did the session and now she's high flying where she is. Her boss, because she would always bash with her boss like that, because in her head, we get the same people, you know, the reaction she had to her boss was the same as she'd have to her dad. So she would react in that same way, which then caused the boss to then react back. The funny thing is, we never see ourselves, if you know what I mean. We see the results of how we are from the reactions of other people. We don't see how we are. But it's funny when our friends would say to you, oh God, you're so much like your dad, not because of how you look, but your behaviour. And you're like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Nothing like that. Of course you are, because that was your, you know, that was your template. Your belief just came from there. And we can never really see how we are. We just see the kind of the outcome.
So true. So true. Thank you, Anna. This is great. Number 3. If the mind can make the body sick, it can also make it well. That's literally exactly what I would be talking about. Yes. Tell me more, please.
Well, totally. I mean, if one of the biggest pandemics we have is stress. And stress is caused predominantly through mental, like thoughts and feelings. And, you know, I think 90% of what is in the doctor's office is led by stress. Now, stress often is linked with high cortisol, which is it's inflammation in the body. It creates a lot of physical and mental issues, like the whole thing of stress. Now, we can we can make ourselves sick by one of the things we do is constantly think of things that probably won't happen but are negative. We'll sit and be like, okay, what is the worst thing that can happen? How many people positively sit and go, okay, well, what if I get £10,000 in my bank on Monday? What if my boss gives me a rise? We never positively think about things that could happen. We sit negatively. And the problem is, when we're sat there thinking about the worst thing that could happen, our body is rushing with all those negative things, cortisol, adrenaline, all of the things that do harmful things to our body. Whereas if we were to sit in the same way in possibility, in happiness, like you did, and your body would have, like the serotonin, oxytocin, all those good chemicals which heal the body. And certainly with what I did when I had my spinal leak, I mean, I was literally visualizing it fixing. I was visualizing the back healing. So how it happened was I had a lumbar puncture in the hospital. Wow. Now, normally they go okay. We often have them if you have an epidural. Sometimes it can scratch the spine, and normally it fixes. It wasn't the epidural. It was they thought I had meningitis, and so they gave me a lumbar puncture, which made things a whole lot worse. But because my body, for some reason, it just wouldn't heal, and I don't know why. I'm looking into the spine supporting, like, why would that have been? But anyway, I when I actually started looking into it, I looked at how it would heal, and I was visualizing the hole that was there healing when I had the blood patch that I had to have the fourth time. And I visualized everything, and I would do it consistently in a really meditative state. I mean, this is the stuff Joe Dispenza talks about. And commanding my body to fix. Your body knows how to fix. I mean, there's so much evidence around that, but we go down a very medical route now, and I'm certainly not saying that that's wrong either, but our body knows how to fix. And so when I did that, it made, I think, a big difference. I'd never done it before, and the fourth time it did, so I was like, there's something in this. But it's fascinating that even then I also did the other things. So I, rather than getting stressed about the situation and it not working, I was just like, it's going to work. And I got my body like mixed with like all the good chemicals. I felt good. I'd watch like comedy films. I'd do I would keep myself in that vibrational sense of happiness for the whole period, and it did. And I was like, there's something in this state of being that then creates healing. And for anyone who doesn't, that sounds a bit woo woo or whatever, I would point them towards Joe Dispenza's work, because there's a lot there that they have a lot of scientific studies based around that actually working.
I keep on having lots of goosebumps, and I'm being splashed by it. I'm trying to avoid. I'm like, please don't ruin my t-shirt.
Not the nice blue.
And then I'm getting goosebumps because it's my body saying, I can relate. I can feel it. And I always do that with my guests if someone says something that I'm really relating. So, and I agree. It sounds to people woo-woo unless they experience it. And only when I experienced it, it became not woo. It became actually a real thing. This is our brain. This is what we can do with it. Let's not neglect it. Let's actually make them or use them how they should be used, really. And for example, Anna, I've got ACL reconstruction surgery tomorrow. Do you think that would help me actually with my healing?
I'm going to send you. I have like a healing, essentially a healing hypnosis. I'm going to.
I think I've done it. I've done it.
I'm going to send you a healing hypnosis to listen to after, and it just starts to reset your whole body and put you in that state of calm. So in my head, I'm like, at the very least, it's not going to do bad. Wow. But what it does is it's commanding your body to heal, to do what it does in its natural sense. I've done it with a lot of clients with different things. I mean, I work with everything. I work with, the basic things of everyday life, like confidence, self-esteem, success, imposter syndrome, addictions, phobias, fears, and all of that. But also, infertility. I work a lot with people who have physical ailments, because chronic physical pain is often held emotions. The body holds a score. There's a really good book on that. But, if you're not letting it out, where's it going to go? And the lady who I study under, Marissa Peer, said a very wonderful line: the emotion that doesn't find itself in tears makes other organs weep.
Wow.
And it's so very true. So I work with a lot of clients of releasing a lot of the inheld anger, pain, frustration, all of those low vibrational level feelings which keep you stuck there. Whereas, if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling good, you're in that high vibe state and you have a really good day. Because what happens is then you're there and you will only attract more things in there. When you're in that low state, and we've all been there, when we got out of bed, fell over or whatever, or late for work, and then we attract more of that. So it's really all about, there are different ways to shift into that high vibe state as well. I mean, I have a musical playlist. That's my best thing. Music's brilliant for it. Just listening to songs that make you feel good. And when you start to feel good, then you're already in that place.
And in my view, many things that we actually think, as you say, causes us unwell in one way or the other, I actually, being stressed in my career caused me so much physical illness.
Yeah.
And I did not pick it up then.
Yeah.
And you kind of go through life unbeknown that actually the damage you're doing to yourself is so great. And actually, many people understand that you can cause damage to yourself, but nobody realizes that actually if you can
cause the damage, you can heal.
You can heal. And that's where it all stops. It's kind of midway.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, when you're in that stress state, that high stress state, you're in fight or flight, you know, your body's doing what it should do. You know, 10,000 years ago, what was stress? Stress was a saber-toothed tiger. You wanted your body to work in that. You wanted to do adrenaline to flush so you could fight or flight, run or fight, probably run. You wanted your immune, but what would happen then? Your immune system would go down, because who cares if you've got cancer, or if, you know, you're going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Whereas nowadays, what stress is, it's a low-level stress, and good, like certain short spikes of stress are good. They help you perform. However, consistent, like chronic stress is not good. It's not good for the body. It's not good for the mind. It's going to cause your immune system to go down because it's consistently fighting. It's why people get so ill when, you know, they're in chronic stress. Like, as in, even like colds, you'll catch every cold, you'll catch everything that's out there.
That's exactly what's happened to me, actually. When I was stressed, all sorts of things were happening. I was like, why am I so ill?
I work a lot with burnout, with women who are very successful. I had a woman who came to me, she looked like she had everything, absolutely everything. And then we did the session, and the reason she was so burnt out and so stressed was because her belief was, I need to people please. You know, the parents, she was like trying to survive in that family unit. I need to people please and I need to be perfect. So she was always striving for perfection, which doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And if someone was perfect, you wouldn't want to be their friend, because it'd be pretty horrific to be around them all the time.
Exactly. You actually, not to be honest, what is perfect in the first place, right?
There's no such thing. And the thing is, what people like about people is authenticity. People love people who are real. Like, you can relate to them. You don't want someone around who's, you know, the most perfect. It's not real. And we all love authenticity, vulnerability. It's a strength.
Well, that's me being the most authentic myself here with this dish. It has been incredible to talk to you. I've prepared the scallop dish. This is actually edible chive. So it flowers in spring, and I like to use them. They actually taste like chive, so they will add kind of light oniony flavor, and it looks pretty at the same time. I think I have it all here. So Anna, scallops with cauliflower puree, asparagus, cauliflowers, capers cooked in butter and olive oil, chive flowers. Please enjoy.
I will. This looks delicious. Thank you so much, Diane.
Most welcome. And our time has come to an end, sadly, but I would love to continue this conversation with you. And I would love to keep in touch with you. And I love to learn from people. I love to grow. And I love to surround myself with like-minded individuals who actually are a little bit woo, like myself.
Me too. I have a bit of that in me.
The messages that we discussed today were: your beliefs make your world. What you focus on expands. And if the mind can make the body sick, it can also make it well. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a true pleasure to cook for you and chat to you. And I know there has been so much more, and we were just focusing on taking you through the stages of the day. But it was a pleasure to have you here, Anna.
Thank you.
And please enjoy the meal.
I am so excited. Thank you, Diane.
Welcome. Thank you so much, and bye.